But before we get to that, let's cut across straight and open this up for debate of what exactly is up next. What is up next for Israel? What is going to be the impact on the world? Daniel Carmon, former ambassador of Israel to India, joining us here on this broadcast. Jay Engelmayer, publisher and executive editor of the Judean, with us as well. Anat Bernstein-Reich, president of Israel Asia Chair, joining us here on this broadcast as well. Ashok Sajjanhar, former Indian diplomat, with me too. Let me open this up and begin by asking the former ambassador of Israel to India. Mr. Daniel Carmon, I want to ask you, the world is standing by Israel at such a time. India too has been condemning what happened on Saturday, ensuring that our support stays with Israel. The Prime Minister has spoken with his counterpart. Where do you see this going forward in terms of what really stands as far as West Asia and the other countries that are involved are concerned?
Well, I would like, thank you very much for having me, and I want to really congratulate you on this introduction, because you really gave a very thorough picture of what is going on. We have been used, the world has been used during the past 20 years to rounds of hostilities between Hamas, a terrorist organization, financed, trained, backed by Iran, a member state of the international community, who has one idea, which is to wipe out the state of Israel and its citizens. The same Iran doesn't care, doesn't give a damn, excuse me the expression, doesn't give a damn about the Palestinian issue. But it is using a proxy called Hamas, again financing it and encouraging it to do the job as a proxy. And we've been used during the last 20 years to rounds of hostilities that always ended in some kind of arrangement. We all knew the arrangement was temporary, and then a few months later, another round. This has to stop, especially when what happened on Saturday is not one more round. It is definitely a declaration of war, infiltrating into Israeli territory, holding 20 or so sites, kibbutzim, towns, localities, and army bases. The failure there is huge. But we are now in the stage of regaining control. But still, there are thousands of rockets launched. I'm now in my safe room. We had 3 barrages in central Israel near Tel Aviv. And I'm here because it can happen any time now. This is not another round. This is a war, and the war will be fought like a war.
In your opinion, Mr. Carmon, I want to ask you though, not to draw a direct comparison, but we've just seen a war a year and a half ago as far as Ukraine and Russia is concerned. No one thought that would drag on for a year and a half either. How far do you think this one is going to drag on for? We have seen Benjamin Netanyahu, several others within his government come out and vow vengeance, come out vow retribution. But how long do you think this is going to draw out for?
It won't take a day or two. It will take more than that. I'm not a military expert, but since we're not talking about another round with mediators from Egypt or Qatar or wherever coming and helping out to make an arrangement that will last 6 months or 8 months, this time the Hamas capabilities, and you have quoted the leaders, and I think it's also logically right after what we have seen, this atrocity, this mass murder, this October massacre, this will not continue. Hamas military capability will have to be eliminated. How long will it take? I don't know. It's definitely not a day or two, because we are still in the defensive offensive of making sure that our army takes full. It's ridiculous, but takes control over sites that were not conquered, but they were taken temporarily by the terrorists. 1,500 terrorists entered the territory of Israel, like Daesh was doing, ISIS, like ISIS was doing in the desert, in the Arabian desert. This is how the Hamas acted in the localities and the army bases near the Gaza Strip. This is really an incredible occurrence, and it will be responded by the war. Like I said before, the war will be fought like in a war.
Jay Engelmayer, I want to get you in. Many have called this the ISIS of Israel, but what really does it mean for the ordinary Israelis who are living this nightmare for the last 4 days, who do not know when this nightmare is going to end?
Well, I mean, Israelis are very resilient. If you know any Israelis, you'd understand that whether they had a political divide on Friday, whether they had an emotional divide with somebody on Friday, that divide ended on Saturday morning. The country is unified. What does it mean in terms of fear for the nation? The nation is fearful, of course, but at the same time, we're resilient. And we're doing everything we possibly can. I just want to share a little bit of a story. My son, who has friends who just got called up for reserve duty, went to the grocery store, bought several hundred shekel worth of groceries, and delivered them to an NGO that was bringing it down to the soldiers down there. We have my daughter, who went and packaged up clothing and equipment for soldiers, for lone soldiers who do not have specialized equipment or things to make them comfortable. Her and her friends gathered up and put boxes together and sent them down as well. So the nation itself is occupying itself with what's going on by making sure that everybody can contribute to the effort in order to make this happen, so that the soldiers can accomplish what they need to accomplish in the quickest amount of time. That being said, there is a tremendous outpouring of support for what is going on within Israel. Even the people who are against this government, even the people who were pro-Palestinian. I've heard from several friends of mine who were very anti-Israel in terms of the way we handle Palestinians, or we manage Palestinian affairs, who have completely switched over because of the imagery, not that Israel was putting out, but by Hamas was putting out themselves. They were boasting on social media. You have elderly men and women who are lined up and shot in the head. You have women and girls who are raped, and they put this on video and they send it out. Some of these women were raped so brutally, you could see the blood running between their legs in these videos. And I think it's those images that kind of shocked people who are on the far left, kind of more to the center, and realized that this is not a conversation that needs to be had in terms of how do we treat another population. I have to add that this population is living in its own sovereign entity. It's not part of Israel. Gaza is its own area, and just like any other country, Israel does not have to let everybody it wants to come into the country, neither does Egypt. So to call it an open-air prison is a little wrong, but I've had people who have been calling it an open-air prison walk that back and say this is not an open-air prison, this was a hub for terror. And these were people who are on the far left. So I think it's important that your viewers understand that within Israel itself, I would say about 85 to 90% of the country backs whatever the government is doing at this point in time, and they are actually actively trying to help make the soldiers' lives easier.